Maximum flight altitude reached.
One last picture of the sun. Let's do our rule of thirds. Put the line on the top, right at the horizon. And do one the opposite line, the lower line of the rule of thirds, so we get more clouds, less ground. Not much to see in the ground anyway. All right, we better land. In today's video, I'll be taking my DJI Mavic 2 and Mavic 3 drones out for a flight. I'll be flying them in sport mode and comparing them in regards to the top speed in sport mode, flying forwards, backwards, and sideways. I'll also be doing 2 additional tests where I ascend from hover to 400 feet approximately, which is the maximum altitude in the United States, to determine how long that takes in each drone, and then going from the 400 feet altitude down to landing to see how long that takes on the Mavic 3 versus the Mavic 2. Make sure to stay to the end so you can find out what that beeping noise was a result of. That was kind of a little bit scary to be at 400 feet and then have that loud incessant beeping. Everything appeared to be fine when I launched that drone, but only a short period of time later, approximately within 10 minutes, all of a sudden that beeping noise started and scared me. Make sure to watch to the end and find out what that's all about. If you like this video and enjoy watching my content, make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching. All right, switch on to sport mode. Whoops, it's cine mode. Switching to sport mode, pressing both of the sticks inward and down.
Take off.
Thinking we need to move our GoPro camera slightly further away from the drone. And let's do a takeoff.
No point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
All right, this is DJI Mavic 3. At hover. Here's our app. Let's point our GoPro camera almost straight up, or about as straight up as we can get it. And we're going to take the drone straight up and see how long it takes before, whoops, that wasn't so straight up. We need to reset. All right, this is attempt number 2. My finger had some issues. It's 30 degrees out here. I'm wearing gloves. My fingertip was a little bit cold. So this is trial number 2. Let's try to go straight up without spinning. And up and up and up we go. We are facing north. That is the Mississippi River.
Maximum flight altitude reached.
And we have reached our maximum flight altitude. So that is test number 1 for this drone. All right, let's do a speed test. Take a look down here. So let's head over this way. All right, for the speed test, we're going to lower our elevation. Yeah, let's go around 120 feet. All right. Let's line up with the airstrip, although I'm probably not going to fly too straight because I'm rather cold out. Or I'm rather cold, it's cold out. Reposition the GoPro camera here. Alright, spot the drone. We are 120 feet away, 5K, 24 frames per second, but we're not recording because if I do, it interferes with the sounds on the control and my voice. So let's go ahead and move her straight forward and see how fast it goes. Again, this is in sport mode, and it's the DJI Mavic 3. It should be sufficient. So it's pass number 1. All right, now we're going to be pass in the next direction. So we started at 120 feet. We're still at 121 feet. So some people have noted that as they're flying forward that the drone is ascending in height. That didn't happen on that pass. Let's make another forward pass. Here she comes. All right, that is our forward pass. So we've gone both directions. There's pretty much no wind, so I don't think either way should make a difference, but we'll check that out. Now the tricky one. Flying sideways. You have to eyeball this, so we're going to fly sideways to the right in sport mode with the DJI Mavic 3. You can already see we're a little bit off kilter here from the airstrip, so let's start over a little bit. All right, I think I'm ready. I think I got this a little bit more lined up, and here we go sideways. That was my fault. I started veering a little bit to the right there as I was spinning around. Let's try that again. All right, let's try to keep it going one direction this time. All right, here we go. Going right. All right, that was our going right test. Now we're going to do flying backwards. Flying backwards with the DJI Mavic 3. What will our maximum speed be? Need to do some adjusting here. All right, here we go. Flying backwards. All right, that's flying backwards. Get her lined up. We'll do another backwards test. All right, here we go again. Test number 2, flying backwards, opposite direction. Didn't line this one up as good as the last one, flying a little bit off kilter. I'm going to continue in that direction. Fingers are cold. Those were the tests on the Mavic 3 drone. Let's do another quick one here. Let's take her up to 400 feet. Accelerate over our landing strip. Before we get to 400 feet. Let's take a look at the descent. Quick motion there, a little bit odd movement. Bring a little bit closer to home. And a little bit to the left. And then let's bring her up.
Maximum flight altitude.
Honestly, I've never tried to
reached.
go full speed with the DJI drone towards the ground in sport mode, so there's no obstacle avoidance in sport mode. So I'm assuming this would maybe slam into the ground, or will it slowly stop before it like crashes into the ground? I don't think I'm going to test that out. I'm just going to go ahead and go down until it gets to a reasonable height, so we can just look at the descent speed. We're not gauging how long of time it's taking in this test. All right, here we go. Straight down. Seems to be going at a reasonable speed, a controllable speed. We are low light. It is slowing itself down on its own. So I take that back. We are going from 400 feet to land. All right, that was test number 1 with the DJI Mavic 3 drone. Now let's take out the DJI Mavic 2. So here are the results of the Mavic 3 tests. We have ascent in seconds of 19, ascent in miles per hour of 18.09. The forward mile per hour in both directions and both runs was the same. It was 46.9. Then going sideways, it was 46.3 miles per hour in one direction and 38.3 in the other direction. Backwards miles per hour, 46.9 and 38.3. So I think there might have been a wind issue, maybe a controller issue, but likely a wind issue. Perhaps the wind in that direction picked up, so it slowed it down slightly on both of those runs. The descent miles per hour was 13.4, and the drone did not crash into the ground. And then the descent in seconds was 27 total seconds. So now let's go ahead and test the Mavic 2 and then do a comparison of that to these results. Again, the air temperature is around 32 degrees Fahrenheit, so it's a little bit cool out here to be doing this stuff. We are at almost twilight. It's approaching the end of the day. Go ahead and power on the drone, press the button, press and hold it in. Go ahead and fire up the controller. So this is the controller for the Mavic 2. I'm pausing the video right here to show you this remote control for the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. It clearly says battery is at 89%. That should be plenty of battery life to get this drone in the air, fly it around, and land it. Or will it be? Make sure to stay to the end of the video to find out what happens. All right, I think we're ready to go. Again, probably a good idea just in case to be moving this GoPro back. Start her up, both sticks in and down.
Take off.
Bring her up.
The home point has been updated. Please check it on the map.
Alright, so here we have the DJI Mavic 2 Pro. Set the camera somewhat up. Alright, we're starting at a height of 3.6 feet. We're going to go straight up to 400 feet in sport mode. Up, 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 up she goes. And still going up.
Maximum flight altitude reached.
There we've reached our maximum flight altitude. Let's move the gimbal. Alright, so that was the ascending part of this test. Lower elevation, we'll do our speed tests before twilight ends. .130 feet, I think we were around 125 or so on the last test. All right, we're somewhat lined up. Reposition the GoPro. And we will do a forward high-speed test of the Mavic 2 Pro. Coming over our landing area. Alright, that was high-speed test in one direction, a little bit off kilter. And high-speed test in the opposite direction. And this is high-speed moving forwards. Line her up for the backwards flying test. But first let's turn around and you can see sun's leaving the clouds and going beyond the horizon slightly, so we're technically still in daylight, not twilight. There we are at 120 feet still, so it did not do any ascending on its own, which would be expected. Let's try to go backwards. Probably going to do a couple of visual observations here. That's like a little bit off. It's a little bit better. All right. So this is going to be the DJI Mavic 2 going backwards in sport mode. That should be sufficient. All right, next we're going to go sideways. Forward. About there. Do a quick test here to see what direction we're heading. I think we need to head a little bit over this way. All right, this is going to be sideways moving left in the DJI Mavic 2 and in sport mode. All right, leaves us with one last test, and that is landing descent speed from the highest elevation of 400 feet. Seem to have better control of this controller. I'm used to the DJI Mavic 2. The DJI Mavic 3 controller is a little bit new to me. I think I've got this one a little bit more dialed in, so I feel like I have better control over everything. Because on this controller, I was able to set a lot of the speeds, like how, not just the gimbal in terms of calibrating, like how much input you need to move the gimbal up and down, but here you're able to move and adjust the sticks as well to determine how fast you rotate, how fast you go left and right, to a certain degree anyway. Uh-oh, before we do this, we better go take a look at the sun again. Go ahead and take a picture. Better get the sun lined up. Rule of thirds, let's see here, we want more clouds. Here's rule of thirds, sun, this horizon's like right on the lower line of the rule of thirds. All right, here we are. Go straight up, get to our 400-foot elevation.
Maximum flight altitude reached.
One last picture of the sun. Let's do our rule of thirds. Put the line on the top, right at the horizon. And do one, the opposite line, the lower line of the rule of thirds. So we get more clouds, less ground. Not much to see in the ground anyway. All right, we better land. It's not liking me. Saying our controller battery is low. That'd be like terrible, wouldn't it? All right, down we go. Sorry for the beeping. There's no way to stop that. Straight down. Yeah, it is pretty low. Well, not really. Oh. Oops. We're not going straight down. Houston, we have a problem. I guess be prepared for anything. I think these warnings sometimes aren't very helpful. Rather than warn you of something, they kind of lead you to make bad decisions. Like I was hitting the wrong throttle to go down. Rookie mistake. All right, we're going straight down now, though. RC low battery. The RC has 11 minutes of battery left, so I'm not sure why it's so incessantly beeping. Oh, I guess 9%. Sorry. So the drone is at approximately 10 minutes of flight time left. It is the remote that's down to 8%.
Landing.
All right, we better shut down. So here are the final results of my Mavic 3 versus Mavic 2 tests. We can see the colors in green are going to represent the downwind direction, so those are the faster speeds. The colors in yellow are when it was flying upwind, so those values are slower than the downwind values. The forward, sideways, and backwards miles per hour, not a great difference between the Mavic 2 and Mavic 3. The ascent speed and mile per hour is better on the Mavic 3 than the Mavic 2, as I think everyone would expect. It's a pretty considerable difference. It takes you 19 seconds from hover to get 400 feet in the air versus 11.2. That's a significant difference. I think the descent one is the more standout to me out of all of these values. The fact that the Mavic 3 can go from 400 feet to landing in 27 seconds versus the Mavic 2 is taking 47 seconds. So it's almost twice as long to land the Mavic 2 from 400 feet as it is the Mavic 3. And again, these are values in sport mode specifically, not the normal flight mode or the tripod or Cine settings. So that's a comparison of the DJI Mavic 3 and Mavic 2 in sport mode in terms of the maximum speed for going forwards, backwards, sideways, ascending, and descending. Another takeaway from this video is always be aware that just because your remote control battery says 89% prior to takeoff and you have a full drone battery, based on weather conditions or degraded performance of the remote control batteries or the drone batteries, your flight might not be lasting more than 10 minutes apparently before your remote control is going to start beeping and you need to land. So be prepared for that. Don't let it annoy you too much. And on the DJI Mavic 2, you can always hit the power button. That will actually mute the beeping sounds, but that sound will come back. So even though you can hit the power button to mute it, it's going to come back and still annoy you in a few minutes. But it gives you a temporary reprieve so you can gather your thoughts without all that loud beeping over and over and over again. So again, if you found this video interesting, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching the video, and make sure to check out some of my other DJI drone related videos, my automotive videos, or some of my how-to tutorials and things of that nature. Thanks for watching.